Paladin Sequence itself deals with Matthew Paladin. We're not trying to get an overall view of the world that he comes from. These books are not about the Danites. They are not about the Templars. They are not about the Hands of God. Those characters come to play, but the interaction is their role in terms of Paladin's development. Matthew Paladin is the cosmic fulcrum, that point upon which all of these forces hang. Throughout the story, Matthew Paladin knows that he needs to find a way to deal with his passenger, the Infernal, which was bound to him at birth. His father put this demon in him. The demon has never revealed its name, so the course of the story is him trying to find a way to get rid of the demon. Azrael, the angel of death, appears to him at different points in the story to provide him with information, to guide him along the path. Paladin believes the path that he's following is one which will result in the exorcism of the demon within him. Yes, that is true. That is the ultimate goal. But Azrael has a bigger plan. Azrael has other things in mind. The world will be revealed through the other characters as they experience the events that are set in motion by Paladin's journey of trying to free himself from the demon which has a hold of him. The Paladin Sequence takes place in a world very similar to our own. There are subtle differences in terms of what occurred. Historically speaking, most of what I reference in the Paladin Sequence is accurate. It is either accurate to the date or within that time period. The reason I've done this is to try and give the story a little bit more footing in reality for those who are familiar with the news stories that come up. We have numerous flashbacks where Paladin will be going through a storyline, we'll run with a character, then we'll go back and see where that character came into the story, why they're involved with exorcism or with Paladin. But if you pay attention to what I described historically through it, you'll be able to figure out who's who and where in the storyline these things fit. Overall, the Paladin Sequence is essentially an overview of the battle between good and evil. Some of our readers have described it as a love child between the Da Vinci Code and Supernatural and Constantine that was raised by The Exorcist. It's an interesting way to put it. It's not an ineffective way to describe it, and it does capture some of what's going on. The Paladin Sequence, at its core, is a study of balance, a study of light versus dark, good versus evil, right versus wrong, law versus chaos. All of these elements play into it. The dialectic, that was something I was trying to get at. Early in the story, it seems fairly well defined, fairly clear who's who, what's what. But as the story develops, we find out the motivations of these characters, their goals, they're not what you think. So what at the beginning seems like a very good character may turn out to be ultimate evil. And what at the beginning seems like one of the most horrific beings you've ever encountered may turn out to be someone who's doing their level best to save humanity in spite of the odds against them. The dichotomies that are set up are easy dichotomies. They're easy distinctions that people would try and make, and those are never the best ways to make your judgments about how you're going to operate in the world. Within the Paladin Sequence, we learn that what we think are two different things are often two sides of the same coin, continuity of the same thing. It's just that we separate ourselves from it enough that we like to think, oh, no, I'm not like that. Within the Paladin Sequence, we learn all of us have light and all of us have shadow. It's simply a matter of choosing which of those sides one allows to come to the surface. Does one wish to completely respect their biology, to eat, to reproduce wildly, uncontrolled, to do as the shadow wishes? Or do they regulate those behaviors, contain them so that others may live the same simple way that they are living? Those are the choices in the real world. In the Paladin Sequence, I try and reframe those choices in a slightly different way so that people will be able to make a more informed decision later when it comes to the point where they have to make those choices in real life. The Paladin world is different from ours in that magic occurs there. There are phenomena that you can observe, fireworks as they call it throughout the story. In our own world, I've seen a few magicians perform. I don't see a lot of fireworks when I see them perform. I see a lot of illusion, see a lot of entertainment, but I don't see genuine, actual magic, actual creation, actual alchemy. My stories allow me to explore these concepts and to describe them in terms of a physics that the readers might be able to understand. The Apophis Codex is based off of the concept of an Egyptian entity known as Apep. The Greek version of that is Apophis. Apep is a great serpent of shadow, a serpent which devours the sun. Only the forces of Ra-Harakti, Amun-Re, and the other sun gods are able to repel this force that attempts to devour the sun every day. The Egyptian priests, of course, exploited this bit and their knowledge of eclipses to scare the hell out of the people, force them to bring in tribute to them. But Apophis is literally a shadowy serpent. Within the world of the Apophis Codex, the Codex is literally the storyline which tells how the shadow will take over everything, how it will destroy all of creation. The shadow is richly entwined with the concept of Apophis. And that is where we vary from a lot of the other supernatural horror shows that you're going to see. Frequently, they're going to operate within a single religious paradigm. If they do introduce gods from other faiths, pagan faiths and whatnot, they're introduced as lesser entities. Within the Apophis Codex, different gods, different systems exist independent and equal to the other systems. So while they may encounter God in one of the books, they may also encounter Zeus in another book, and he will be equally problematic. He will have power comparable to that of the being that the Christians would refer to as God, or that the Infernals like to call Father. The Apophis Codex tries to capture that entire cosmic struggle of light and dark, of the struggle to try and gain ascendancy, one over the other. In our reality, light has been the presiding force, the predominant force, but the shadow is always there. And in the Paladin Sequence, the shadow is rising. The shadow has learned a way to seize control, to win the game once and for all, to take the prize, the creation, and ultimately silence its enemy, God and all of his minions. Gerald Ironblood, Matthew Paladin, Dane Sheridan, Lucas Sabat, Fiona Hammer, all of the others, they're trying to stop that from happening. Each of them have their own reasons. Each of them believe in their gods in their own ways, if they believe in gods at all. But they all know the destruction of the universe is the destruction of everything. If the shadow wins, we all die. To that end, they've chosen their side. They're on the side of light.